welcome to season 2 of I Am Series podcast. Today, I am hosting a very dear friend of mine, and also, Hanadi is a mind therapy professional or practitioner, or just a mind therapy professional, let's call it this way. Hi,
Hi,
Hanadi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How
Good.
are you today?
Very well, very well.
Excellent.
Hanadi, before we start, I just want to tell our audience that you went into this direction after quite a long journey of self-discovery, self-experience. You've been through your own journey, your own
Absolutely.
ups and downs, just like everyone else,
Absolutely.
right? And what made you decide to do mind therapy specifically?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Okay.
Good.
Nice. What made me go into mind therapy? Mind therapy for me had actually transformed so many things within me. I had discovered things that I didn't know that was affecting me.
Okay.
For me, it is discovering myself, let me put it that way, discovering myself, but in a way that it is within. Sometimes you struggle with an emotion, sometimes you struggle with something you really want to change or you want to get rid of.
Okay.
But the thing is that we've got to understand it so that we are able and understand the reason behind it so that we're able to get over it.
Okay.
Because our mind deals with logic. So if it's logical for you, you will be able to overcome it, you will understand it, and so overcome it. But if it's not logical, whatever you do, so even if I come and tell you something, it's not logical for you, okay? You will keep on questioning it.
Okay.
This happens within even relationships.
Okay.
Okay, imagine that you're with a partner and your partner comes and tell you something and then you don't really, it's not really logical for you. So you will keep on questioning it in your mind, even if you don't say or you don't tell him that you're questioning it.
Which is
So-
most of the time.
Which is, which is
Us
exactly,
women, okay.
absolutely.
I admit that we do
Absolute-
that.
And we keep on asking it in different ways because we want the logic behind it. And the moment we know the logic behind it and the reason behind it, we're settled.
So mind therapy uses logic basically in helping people get over things?
I
or-
get over things because it helps them understand what is the reason that they are feeling that
This way,
What is the emotion with it? Because you need to get in touch with your emotion. And the moment you don't get in touch with your emotions, what happens is that you just unconsciously suppress it.
Okay.
You just put it aside.
Okay.
And once you put it aside, it's another form of suppressing it. And you will act, I'm strong, I'm over the thing, and I'm a strong, independent woman, for example, or strong, independent man, you know. But at the end of the day, you just, in another form, you suppress it, and then it's going to come back to you. Sooner or later.
It will be triggered.
It will be triggered and it might explode and it might affect you, but it will definitely come back to you. I'll give you an example. How did I start that journey? I wanted to quit smoking, and I was smoking after 18 years of smoking. I used to smoke a lot, and I wanted to quit smoking. So I went to and that was my first encounter with actually hypnotherapy here.
Okay.
So I went to my hypnotherapist, and what happened is that, okay, we are in this session, and he told me, ask that girl who was 17 years old, the one that started smoking,
yeah.
exactly. Does she want to quit smoking? And I said, no. And he told me, ask her why. And I find myself saying, it's like, I don't want to lose something I love. And that struck me, myself. It's like, what? Okay, to cut the long story short, it has to do with people I had lost
In your life.
in my life.
Wow.
And I'm attached to those people, and I don't want to lose those people. Which, I had lost my grandfather, and that was devastating. And I had lost my father, and it was another devastation, And hadn't I dealt later on with all those emotions that I thought unconsciously I had suppressed, because you don't suppress consciously. You just, okay, let me move on. Let me carry on with life. And all of a sudden, like, I realized after 24 years, to what extent losing my father had affected me all the way, had affected my character, actually had affected my behavior. I just thought that I'm over it, and I continued. But it came back after 24 years. I realized to what extent it had shaped my behavior, even.
Okay.
In a negative way, for sure,
Yeah. Well, it can change in a positive, and this is the beauty of
That's
things
it.
when we start working on ourselves.
Had I knew it, it would have affected it in a positive way.
Yeah.
So there are definitely positive things. I'm strong. I'm independent.
Yeah.
I am. And
I am myself.
I
Remember,
am
this is what we're
myself.
talking about today. Actually, I forgot to mention this.
Yes.
But today we're focusing on I am myself, meaning that whatever I go through in my life, I embrace and I love and I own.
Absolutely.
I own it,
Absolutely.
and by that, when I say I am myself, I say it with pride, I say it with courage, I say it with, determination.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it. It's part of my pride to be who I am today, right?
That's it, exactly. I am myself. I am myself before realizing to what extent that had affected me. And I am myself after realizations. And I am series, because all this, myself, is a series of things.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
So
I love how you put it.
Yeah. So so it is. I am series. I love the name, actually, of your podcast, because when you told me it's named I Am Series, and as a matter of fact, I had seen it on YouTube, and it's like, that's a very interesting name, because really each one of us is a series, okay, and
Of encounters.
and the moment you finish that series, or because each episode is kind of complementing the one after, and if you don't have the one, like episode number 7 in series 10, you will not get into episode number
8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, I am series. To be, I am myself.
Amazing. So what you're saying here is that our life is a series of encounters that we go through
Yes.
to become
Myself.
ourselves, to become who
Ourselves.
we are.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
I love how you put it. This is beautiful. I didn't even think about it. Okay,
Okay.
cool. I like that. So what I wanted to also say is, when we go, like, in your case, you realized that there was, we call it the shadow of loss. It's a shadow that
Yes.
actually a lot of people, like, these are mainly many of the limitations that we create for ourselves.
Yes.
They come in our life in the form of shadows,
Yes.
or in the form of what we call limiting beliefs.
Yes.
So the loss shadow is a very, very prominent shadow in people's journeys.
Absolutely.
And it can start, like, with you realize that it started when you lost your father, may his soul be resting in peace, of course. But it sometimes can happen even when we are very, very, like, as a child. Sometimes if we lose our teddy bear, we subconsciously
Absolutely.
create this shadow of loss.
Yep.
And because we don't understand what's happening, it sorts of stays with us throughout our life, and then it manifests itself in our life through our experiences, when we get these triggers and we start feeling, oh no, I am attached to this, I don't
Yeah.
want to lose this.
We-
This for me means the world, I cannot lose it.
Absolutely.
And that started,
Yes.
it's not now, it's not something that is happening now, it's something that we've been conditioned through our experience. It doesn't have to be, sometimes we talk about conditioning, we think it's only happening from the outside world, but really conditioning is something that we allow, right?
Actually, conditioning, yes, you're right, because we are the one who are in charge of ourselves at the end of the day. So if we're talking about that teddy bear, or that, we have a very common example that it's always given. It's like a mother is feeding her child.
Yes.
And the phone rang. She went to pick up the phone and to check who's on the phone. And the phone is like, okay, just go because someone is on the door. Please pick up the things from him. And it's a very normal thing to happen.
Yeah.
She left the phone. She went there. She opened the door. She picked up the thing. And then she had to go back to make that phone call, that yes, it is received and everything is okay. Okay, what happened to this child? That child is like, okay, what is happening with me here? I'm left alone. Is there an issue with me? Because they don't understand. The child, he didn't understand, or she didn't understand that there's a phone call that she's attending to. And the mother is a very nice mother. She's just opening the door and answering the thing. And she's going to come back to that child, And then, okay, so the child to be able to continue and to understand his emotion, because he's not able to express it, for him or her, it's like, okay, I'm not worthy enough for her to stay with me? He didn't mean to think that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
They feel abandoned.
They
It's
feel
also the
abandoned.
abandonment
And the
shadow.
thing is that,
Yeah.
and then it might develop to be a separation and anxiety
Yes.
when they grow older, and they don't understand why this happened.
Yeah.
But the mother is very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like another example, a very successful businessman, okay, who is always there for the kids. He's doing everything to make his family live in a very proper way, financially, they are good, the standard of living is good. But what happened to this child? To be able to do that, that father
Needs to be far.
he had to be far.
Yeah.
So this money by itself is like, it's no more a plus. It is, if I'm having the money, okay, that means that my father is not going to be there. And so, you know what? Guess what?
They will
I
lose
do not
the money.
want this money.
Subconsciously.
Subconsciously. And that's why you find lots of kids, actually not kids, I mean grown-ups, who they have fathers who are very successful financially, very well, but you find that this son or daughter are not able to make it.
They're struggling.
They're struggling in life financially because of that very reason. And so it has to do with your mind and how your mind played you, because you needed to feel good. You needed to find the logic behind what's happening.
Okay.
So the logic with the kid and the mother is that questioning the self-worth, or that separation and anxiety when she's separated from me, or with that son or daughter, money is not good. I shouldn't be successful then.
Okay.
Financially successful in the financial way, I mean here.
So in the mind, what we are thinking is finding a reason that makes sense to our mind, that we can adopt throughout our life.
Yes.
And we do this on a subconscious level, not
Correct.
in yes, I want to sit and understand what is happening here. No, it's
Yeah.
something that just, okay, there's an emotion. She left me. I am crying. She left me. Why? I'm not worthy. Or she left me because something else is more important than
Absolutely.
I am. So as a child, we develop this. And I always give this example as well, the example of, the mother feeding her kids. What we try to always do in the podcast is to also remind, we talk about the problem, but what we want our audience to remember is that it's not enough to figure out the problem, but there are ways to actually fix these
Absolutely.
problems. And it's not just something that we have to live with
Yes.
for the rest of our life, especially if we find out that we have, because there are lots of people who do not accept the idea of going through a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Or they
Correct.
feel like, why should I do that? No, I am fine the way I am. And I always ask the same question to all my clients. I always ask them, how comfortable is your comfort zone?
Yeah. That's a very, 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 like,
It's a valid question.
it is the valid question, because at the end of the day, I want to change. I'm struggling to change. I want to get rid of that emotion, that I'm, or that behavior, or that whenever I am, for example, in a public place, okay, with in a gathering. So why am I feeling that emotion all the time? Is there anything wrong with me, or it has to do with the others? So the thing is that, very correct to what you're saying. Okay, fine, I am in touch with myself, and I want to move on, and I want to change it. And it's not the point of knowing back what is the main reason this will solve the problem. The thing is that knowing the reason and resonating it with your life. So you got to know the reason. I'm left as a child, yet how that self-worth in specific had affected all my relationships now when I'm a grown-up. And that's when it makes sense to you.
Okay.
So it's not like I only got to know the reason behind me feeling that. It's how it had affected all my life in all my relationships with people.
On a subconscious level.
On a subconscious level, because you're not aware of it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's kind of like mapping your life experiences to that very specific, let's say, struggle that you went through as a child, or even as a grown-up sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because even as grown-ups, when we go through, and I find it very interesting. Last week I was hosting a lady and her husband. I was talking about traumas, and her husband said, I don't call them traumas, I call them lessons. And I really admire that. Because
Absolutely.
it's really beautiful, because trauma is such a negative word. And then when you say lesson, for me, it's like, oh, wow, I prefer to call them lessons.
But that's when
know?
you're over it. As long as
Yeah,
you're not over it, it will
it's
stay
still
a trauma. So the moment you
like to-
overcome it,
I like to manifest that it's overcome, so I call
yeah.
it lesson.
So you call it a lesson. But you need to really learn the lesson, from that trauma to become a lesson. So if you don't
get you.
realize that there is a lesson behind it, okay?
Yeah.
And it's that lesson that you really need to learn in your life, so that you'll be able to overcome it.
Okay.
So it's the lesson that I understood. Oh, okay, I'm having that emotion because of this. And that taught me a lesson that, okay, it wasn't the problem of that person that he's not dealing with me in a respectful manner. No, I'm the one who was perceiving this in that manner.
Because of that
Experience. That experience. That I wasn't aware that it had shaped myself to that extent.
Wow, okay.
And you know what? It's like we all have baggage.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
Nobody.
Exactly. So, and like sometimes we just say, to people, well, you're coming with your baggage, I'm coming with my baggage. And it's like a word, we just say it, a baggage,
Yeah.
a baggage, a baggage.
Yeah.
And like, as you're saying it, I'm very comfortable with that baggage. I become extremely comfortable with that baggage. And that's the problem when I'm very comfortable with my baggage, with my comfort zone. Okay? So what we try to do is to make that baggage a luggage. Okay? In this luggage, you put it. You try not to put any dangerous
Stuff
what do you call
in
stuff
it.
in it, okay? You don't need to put anything that will explode like a battery. You don't need to put any harmful objects in it, so that you can give it to the counter. Okay? So what we try to do, we check in
Okay.
each luggage, did you put any harmful object? Did you put anything explosive material? Did you put this? You clear it, it's scanned, it's cleared, and then it's given to be put aside or to be taken away. So clear your luggage, okay, so that the baggage is not going to be heavy.
Okay, I get you. So that's what you do as in mind therapy,
Yes,
basically. You
yes.
take whatever baggage we have and you kind of clear it from the toxins that
Yes,
exist as
because
part of it.
unconsciously it came into our mind. Very good. So it's not like what stays in our talk, me and you, is like, am I good? Am I bad? Did it go well? It didn't go well. Oh, why did she ask this question to me in that way? What did she mean really? Okay. And then we have unconsciously we had built certain filters, critical filters, that has to do with our emotions and our judgment and our judgment. And those were created when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I now, very hard for me to change them or to clean them unless I really work in cleaning them,
Yeah.
those two filters,
Yeah.
the emotion and the judgment. And so before whatever you're telling me that might be hurtful or not, they pass through this filter, those two filters, and they're going to get into my subconscious mind. So it depends. Is this going to be a harmful or a negative, let me put it that way, a negative luggage, or is it going to be a positive one?
When we do this kind of work, do we have the capacity eventually? Do we get the capacity to differentiate between the two? Like,
Yes,
is this
because
is harmful and this is like this is toxic and this is good?
clients, when they come with the negative ones. The positive ones, there are no problems with it. We just what we
But they
try
don't
to
know
do.
that they exist actually.
Some people don't know that they exist.
I know from myself when
Yes.
I started working on myself before I
Yes.
started my own journey of being someone who can help
Yes.
others. I was working on myself, and this is for me the best way to help others
Yes.
is to help them from your own experience, because let's face it, most of us go through the same experiences in different circumstances, but the experiences are very similar, like the abandonment, like the feeling not good enough, like thinking that money is evil and money is going to separate us from each other. So these are very common limitations that we create for ourselves through life. And when I started working on myself, I realized that a lot of my traumas or lessons, they have also so many positive learnings. They're not only negative learnings. You know, when
Absolutely.
you go through anything, if we take even today, like when we do, I'm going to take it on a business level. When we do a business plan, yeah, right? We have the SWOT analysis, right?
Yes.
And the SWOT analysis basically focuses on the good as well as the bad. It cannot only focus on one side, so that you can basically target everything on all levels. And the same thing happens with our person, who
Absolutely.
we are. So
Very correct. And even
yeah.
if you do a feasibility study, okay, you need to put what are your challenges,
The pros and the
the pros and
cons.
the
Yeah,
cons.
exactly.
You're absolutely right, and it has to work in a way that I need to know my challenges, okay, and the challenges for such business, and the challenges that I am facing within myself to be able to achieve there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I need to reach there. I need to feel comfortable. I need to feel happy. I need to be successful, actually. Okay. But there are things that are related to my experience that are not
They are holding you back.
absolutely.
Or me,
And
or
and
anyone.
as you put it, we all have maybe similar experiences, but they fall on us in a different way.
Of course. Of course.
So why this experience is falling on you in a different way than your sister or your brother or your family member who you're brought up with, or your friend who having the similar experience, yet it's not falling on her or on him the same. So we deal with why it's falling on you like this.
Yeah.
Because the facts, you cannot change the fact. This happened, okay, and I got hurt.
Yeah.
Or my boss talked to me in a way that I do not accept. And you will find a friend of you coming and saying, why are you like this? It's okay. Why are you thinking that he meant it in a bad way? No, it could be normal. So her judgment is different than your judgment. But why? The fact is the same.
Yeah, because we have different experiences.
Because you have different experiences and different emotions that are related to mostly your childhood. And that's why you unconsciously judge that incident in a positive way or a negative way. And then when it goes to your subconscious, would it go to your negative folder or to your positive folder?
And it reflects in an emotion that we don't understand most of the time.
Mostly,
right?
not only an emotion, a behavior.
But the behavior is related to the emotion. When we
Absolutely.
behave,
Absolutely.
we behave coming from a certain
Absolutely.
emotion that is a reaction to something that we are going
Absolutely.
through. It's all happening, guys. It's all happening on a subconscious level. It's not like we are sitting there and we are thinking, now I'm going to scream because I'm angry.
Yeah.
We don't even think like. And imagine, actually, if we want to do all of these things on a conscious level.
Yeah.
Like I always say, imagine that your body functions with your consciousness. Like you will have zero time to do anything else. If you have to remember every single second to tell your heart to beat, when will you do anything else, right? If you're gonna
Actually,
every single
it
second...
stays in your conscious. Anything would stay in your conscious for like 1 hour and a half only.
And then
it goes down to your subconscious.
Wow. Okay.
Passing those two filters of the judgment and the emotion.
Okay.
So it's going to stay 1.5 hours, okay? So whatever is happening, for example, now, everything is clear, everything is fine. It passed through the judgment and to the emotion filter, getting to the subconscious. And then in the subconscious is all the game.
Yeah.
How we are going to put it after passing through those filters. So what we try to do is that we need to clear those filters. So how do we clear those filters? We need to penetrate those filters to be able to get into the subconscious.
Okay.
Okay, it's like the water filter. Imagine that this water filter you don't clear.
Yeah, eventually the water will not be filtered.
Absolutely, and this is what happens. So how do we clear our filters? It's like by penetrating this, getting to this, and being aware that there is
I have a very
filter.
Interesting question for you.
Go ahead.
This filter, when we clear it, are we clearing it inside out or outside in? Yeah, in other words, are we clearing it when the information goes into the subconscious or as the information is retrieved from the subconscious mind?
You're living in a whole world, okay? So whatever happening in this world passes through this filter within you, okay? So something, an experience taking place, and then you need to, it has, for you're seeing it, I am seeing it. There's an actual fact. We are here in the studio. Okay. I came a little bit late. And
shame on you.
I came a little bit late, and I'm sorry for this again.
Please stop apologizing.
And you got maybe stressed. The people who are working in the studio got a little bit stressed. And this stress falls on me being late, you having your podcast, and the technical team who want to get things finished very quickly because they have bookings after. So each one, the fact is the same.
But each one's filter is
yes.
different. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
The other one is it's affecting maybe the business. For you, I want to do my episode. For me, I have to put it in a right way. Whatever am I going to say? I'm going to say, So the fact is the same.
Yeah. But the filters are different.
The
I
filters
like that.
are different.
I like that. It's what I also want to talk about here is you mentioned something very important is whenever we receive something from the outside, we filter it as
Yes.
information, right? And if we go to thinking from a neurological perspective, what we do is we have around, some people say 75,000 thoughts per day, some people say 7,000 thoughts per day. Irrelative of the number, this is a huge number, whatever it is,
Absolutely,
whether
yeah.
it's 7 or
Yeah,
75. And for these thoughts to be filtered and to go into our mind or our subconscious, there are two level, you call them the emotional and what's
Judgment.
the judgment and the emotion. In the neuroscience or in the neurological science, the filters are basically how we receive and then how we recall. So you are filtering twice the same way, but here it's judgment and emotion. The other way is when you are filtering, anything that comes to you, it goes in, you filter, you distort, you release, and then you take part of it and you keep it. And then when you are remembering, you go through the same process. So you distort, you release some of it, and you recall only part of it. So if you really want to think about it, whatever we go through in life, that moment itself is never the same 5 seconds later, because when we want to recall
Absolutely.
it, we are distorting the information, we are releasing some of it, and we are recalling only part of it. So in all cases,
But what do you recall? You recall what fell into your subconscious.
yes, and what made sense to you. But
made sense to you.
even then,
And what the thing is that what made sense to you, if it is it affecting you in a positive or in a negative way? If it's a positive way, then there's no problem. Great. If it's affecting you in a negative way, okay, it would reflect on and affect any thing that you are going to do later on.
and your behavior.
Your behavior, okay? Your behavior, your emotions to another thing that took place, which is kind of similar to what had happened before, okay? And that's why, oh, what's happening now triggered something, triggered the same emotion or the same experience that had took place 5 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago. It depends on the age. The thing is that we are not aware of, in our conscious, on the conscious level, how those things are connected. I'll give you an example, okay, to put it clear. I was doing a session on myself, talking about listening skills. I need to listen more to people. I need to be able to understand them and where they're coming from. So let me listen more. Okay, fine. Got into the session. Okay, I'm sitting on. I'm sitting in my office. Okay, and one of the team members and my colleagues coming into the office, I feel I'm going. Talking. I'm suffocating. I'm standing up. I'm walking a little bit. I'm opening the door. I'm out.
I'm suffocating listening to you.
Exactly. And I'm getting out of the door. Fine. I can't take it. خلاص, enough listening to this. Then I regressed. I had, when I'm like 17 years old, having kind of an argument with, not an argument, like a fight with my father because I came in late. I had to come at 3 in the afternoon. I came at 5, and I didn't say what happened with me. And my father is such a nice, calm person. So him being that angry, okay, is like something. Probably it's the only time that I saw him angry. And then I've always been fuller and heavy. 11 years old, I'm putting food in my plate, and my mother's like watching the quantities.
These are all
that
the
I'm
things that you were remembering in your own
in the
session.
session.
Okay.
They're not connected to each other till now. Okay.
Now you know the connection?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I'm not telling my mother that I'm gonna put more. I'm just looking at her and I'm putting more food. Okay. Not saying that I'm not going to listen to whatever it is that you want to tell me. Beware of the quantities that you're taking because you're already heavy for your age and all this. Then all of a sudden I'm 6 years old, and my grandmother is getting us the hairdresser to cut our hair before going to school because my mother and father were traveling somewhere, and my grandmother, very nice, she's trying to help her daughter, which is my mother, to make everything ready. So when my mother comes back, we are ready to go to school in a couple of days. And all of a sudden, the realization came, I'm angry. I don't want to cut my hair. I don't want to do this. Why you're cutting my hair? I want my hair. I want to grow it longer. And then, when I expressed myself and I said, and I told her that I do not want to cut my hair, she didn't listen. So guess what? I'm not going to listen to anyone.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you did the reverse learning on yourself.
Am I aware of this?
No, of course.
Definitely no.
Not on a conscious level, yeah.
Not on a conscious level.
Yeah.
Now, is the person at office and the fight with my father and not telling my mother that I'm going to do whatever I want to do and I'm not listening to you. Now, all the story is connected.
Okay. Makes sense.
Before that, I'm not going to listen to the one in the office. I'm not going to tell my father what went wrong and that's why I'm late. And I'm not going to tell even my mother that I'm not going to listen to her. Okay. So I'm not going to tell anyone anything and I'm not going to listen to anyone.
So you kind of build a shield for yourself to most of the time, and I'm since I said time, now I'm conscious of time because we have to finish the episode. But guess what? I always say this is the second time in the second episode, and I think I'm gonna have a rerun for it. We're gonna do a sequel.
Okay.
But because this time I have to close. But what I want to say is, most of the time our learnings or our experiences, we create them to protect ourselves from something.
Very
what
correct.
That thing is, we don't know now, but obviously when we start doing our self-discovery journey and we start putting the dots on the I's,
Yes.
we start understanding, oh my God, now it makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
Just like you mentioned at the beginning, mind therapy is about understanding things in a logical way. When things start making sense to us, then it becomes much easier for us to move from the stagnation or the negative luggage.
Very correct.
And make it, or maybe learn from it, the positives that we can. And just sometimes, and I always tell everybody, my clients, our audience, my friends, it can be a very easy process. It can be a change that happens just like that.
It is.
If we allow it, because, and that's maybe a topic for another episode is, how we allow things to happen in our life. And it could take us a longer time if we do not surrender and do not allow.
Yeah.
And
it's the thing is that just to be first aware of it.
Yes. Awareness is 50% of the problem solved.
Yes.
I always say the same thing to everyone around me, to everyone who starts their journey. It's very important to start the journey because that awareness is 50% of the problem
And
solved.
then let's know
Now,
how to deal.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
If we know what the problem is, it's not enough.
yes.
We want to also be in a place or in a position where we allow ourselves to fix it, not
connect.
just knowing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To connect it. And the moment you connect the things, you will get the understanding. And once you get the understanding, you will get the logic of it.
That's
and
if we are
that's
talking
why,
about mind therapy only.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll be able to deal with it
Move past.
and whatever happens after that will get in a positive to go to
In a connected way.
to connect it and would go to the positive folder, not the negative folder in the subconscious.
I love that.
Okay.
Hanadi, it's always a pleasure being with you and talking to
Actually,
you.
thank
And
you.
I love this. I love this. And I think we will have a sequel, maybe in season 3, because season 2 is already lined up. But
My
in season
pleasure, would
3,
love
I
to.
would love to maybe continue this conversation and take it
Definitely.
maybe to another place.
Definitely.
Do you
I
have
would
any
love to.
message that you would like to leave our audience with?
I am myself. So yes, I am myself, and I'm a series of different experiences to become myself now. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, guys, all you need to do to watch us is to follow I Am Series podcast on YouTube. We are on Anghami, we are on Apple Podcasts, and we are on Spotify.
Okay.
So whenever you want, just follow us and follow us on I Am Series platform on Instagram. And we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.